watching AYV Television.
All right, good morning Freetown, good morning Sierra Leone. You're heartily welcome to your favorite breakfast show, Wake Up Sierra Leone, on the Africa Young Voices television. You're also hearing us on radio this morning on 101.7 frequency modulation. My name is Victor Jones.
And I am Phoebe Swale. So whether you're watching us this morning or listening to us from the provinces or in the capital city Freetown, either on channel 33 or on our DSTV platform, channel 399 from across Africa or wherever in the world, we say good morning to you and welcome.
Indeed, and you can watch us online from around the world on this amazing day, being the 6th day in the month of July 2026.
We're broadcasting live from the top of Tower Hill in the heart of the city. Send us your comments and thoughts via our socials, AYV News Facebook page, on the stories that we cover.
So coming up this morning, President Julius Maada Bio has reached exactly 3 years in office for his second term in June 2026, marking 8 total years of leadership since his initial election in 2018. We shall be evaluating his 3 years in office, the economy, governance, including his Big Five agenda.
And All People's Congress APC Member of Parliament lawyer Usman Timbo called on PPRC intervention over unopposed candidates in party elections. We'll speak to him on his call.
If all of that happens this morning, let's just get a quick message from our sponsors, Wakeup Commercial Bank, which will be followed by other advertisers. We'll be back.
More and more people are using Wakeup SIM Copper Plus in their everyday lives. Did you hear that? She just transferred money for her daughter's school fees. And this man just paid for some products. Ah, Mr. Abu, are you sending money to your wife again?
Yes, like Wakeup SIM Copper.
Ah.
Yes, like having money in my pocket.
Ah, excellent.
Thank you.
He just bought some eggs. The world is digital, so keep up with the times. Have you got a payment to make? If so, just download Wakeup SIM Copper Plus now. You can download the Wakeup SIM Copper Plus app from Apple iStore and iPad or Google Play Store for Android users. You see, it's fast, safe and reliable.
Sorry, car, go see some business partners.
You didn't give me memory, Michael. Can if I guess I don't hear where this car people in, not to in Dandy.
Today you pay me money. I don't send it for let you help me send money in Ghana. 2 weeks now you not send me money and 10 you not give me back me money. Today, give me money.
You know ever sabi goodness na life. I send back your money, but trust me, today na the very last day I ever send money for now.
I don't need your help because I don't know so with African money. I dey able send money. Now Baku Africa countries them.
With African money, we dey able send money to over 10 African countries, whether it's Ghana, Gambia, Liberia or Kenya. If me party we know this, we not follow the party grammar right now.
Okay, una go regret. Una go regret.
The best part right now, Michael, with African money, you dey able send money even if you not use app, even if you not the online. Directly, all you need for do, you just dial *161#. Pam, your money don't go. So I don't need the help again. Thief man.
Thank you.
Send money to over 10 African countries instantly with AfriMoney. No stress, no excuses. Just dial *161 *1 *6 hash now. AfriMoney, quick and easy.
Every day feels better with peace of mind, and peace of mind starts with preparation. Unexpected moments can happen anytime, but with the right insurance, you're always one step ahead. At J-Man Insurance, we help you protect what matters most: your life, your family, your future. Don't wait for what if. Prepare for what's next. Get covered today and move forward with confidence.
Feels good to see your face again. It's been a very crazy day. The joyous feeling in the air when rain falls on a sunny day.
Happy, yeah. Let the stars, let the roll.
Enjoy life's little pleasures with Maltina. Maltina. Share happiness.
As mama, I always want waiting best for me picking them, especially when it comes up waiting them for eat and drink. Now this make I always they choose Sarah juice because they make come from with local foods them and nutritious, and it gets less sugar than the other drinks them. Not to me say so.
We lab test show say Sierra juice gets 50% less sugar than the other drinks them na the market.
Because we mama they know waiting best for we picking them, now you make we always they choose Sierra juice. Sierra juice is nutritious, it's healthy, and it's sweet. Sierra juice, not the taste of Salone.
Fellow Sierra Leoneans, on 8th August 2024, Statutory Instrument Number 8 of 2024 regarding the conduct of nationwide population and housing census was successfully laid in Parliament. On 29th August 2024, this statutory instrument became effective following 21 days from its laying. Therefore, in line with the decennial census calendar, I am pleased to announce that my government will conduct a nationwide population and housing census.
It's 2026, we dey get with census. Make all man tell him family them. Responsibility for bring development. Make all man tell him family them. From the east to the west, blah blah blah. From the north to the south, no matter how you dare or you try, blah 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 blah. Mama or papa, blah blah blah. What begin on grandpa, blah blah blah. Auntie.
All right, welcome back. A reminder that this is Wake Up Sierra Leone on AYV television and radio. We're broadcasting in Freetown, Sierra Leone. Now, President Julius Maada Bio has reached exactly 3 years in office for his second term, which was in June 2026, marking 8 years in total of his leadership since his initial election in 2018. Now, navigating an economically complex landscape, his administration officially declared 2026 a year of action to transition long-term policy reforms into immediate, everyday improvements for citizens.
And during his first year in his second term, President Bio launched his Big Five pillars. His administration continues to push its leadership national strategy, flagship part national strategy. It focuses heavily on the Feed Salon initiative for food security. It also targets human capital development, youth and employment, and public sector innovation. So this morning, we are going indeed to evaluate President Bio's 3 years in office. Economy, governance, including his Big Five agenda.
In the studio for this discussion, we have Andrew Lavalley, his Executive Director, Institute for Governance Reform, IGR. Also in the studio is Abubakar Josise, National Outreach Coordinator from the Ministry of Information and Civic Education. And we also have Abdul Karim Kamara, he's a member of the APC Publicity team. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here.
Let's start from own assessment. Own assessment, in a sense, Abubakar, you are part of the government. From own assessment, it's 3 years of President Bio's second term and 8 years in total of his stewardship over Sierra Leone. In your assessment, self, where would you rate the country?
I think we are making steady progress. It would be very unfair to judge the president at this time. That's why he had always maintained that he should be judged at the end of his term, because as far as we are concerned, it is still work in progress. However, we've been able to achieve a lot. As you rightly said, in 2023, he declared the Big Five. We all know the Big Five, of course, of Feed Sierra Leone, human capital development, nurturing skills, that's providing fit for purpose education, of course, creating 500,000 jobs in 5 years, the public service architecture, and then infrastructure and communication. So in all those areas, I think we've made some strides. And starting particularly with the feed salon, we are now seeing the reduction in the price of rice, and that's largely due to the fact that we've increased rice production in the country. In the past 3 years, of course, we've also supported farmers, over 90,000 farmers. 43% of those are women. We've developed seeds, 33 seed varieties, because, I mean, you cannot, nowadays, I mean, the seeds determine a lot your yield. So we've had slurry, we've revamped slurry, and slurry has produced seed varieties. For rice alone, we have over 13. And we've been supporting farmers. We've been able to mobilize resources from our development partners. A lot has happened in the big salon in the past 3 years. Of course, most people have been talking about Tomabo. Tomabo, a lot of progress is being made there. As I speak to you, because we are targeting 5,000 hectares of irrigation for Tomabom and Bundapi. But then for Tomabom now, 1,000 hectares of irrigation is on the verge of completion now as I speak to you. That will ensure all year round cultivation, because we know we have 6 months of dries, and if there is not constant flow of water, that might affect the production. So that's why we're having the irrigation facilities. It's a huge amount of money to build. So those are the strides we've made. And if you look at the rice production, most of the paddy rice you eat here is actually being grown here in Sierra Leone, for the people who don't know. And that's the other thing we are doing. We are working with the private sector, in fact, supporting them at some stage. It's the same for PC and Sons for onions. A good percentage of our onions is now being grown in country. That has reduced importation we've reduced importation of onion, we've reduced importation of rice. We are no longer importing oil. I mean, so those are the strides we are making, and that means we are saving a lot of money that is going into our economy, instead of importing everything and supporting farmers elsewhere in the world. So that's the huge progress we've made. For education, you know, we used to have just 2 universities in the country. That has been expanded to 5. Since the president started the free quality education, there has been an exponential increase in enrollment, about 58%. And all of those kids coming through the system, they all have to end up in our university. So that's why we thought it fit to expand. And it's not just expanding, also we change the curriculum to ensure that we provide fit-for-purpose education. Before this time, some of us went to university, we were reading Greek and Roman history, we pursued courses that were not relevant to the job market. That's no longer the case. I mean, the courses, most of the courses we have now are tailored to the job market we have. That's why we are offering a lot of technical courses now. You go to the Miltimagai Technical University, Cornell Science of where the Cornell University, the Eastern Technical University, Cornell Science of Technology and Technology University, they are all providing technical courses that are required by the job market here. So that's helping, and it's not just by our own job market, it's also to ensure that you can compete for job opportunities elsewhere in the world. So that's what we are providing. That's what the president meant by nurturing skills. Human capital development, nurturing skills. For the public service, a lot of transformation has taken place. Restructuring has been done by the public service reform units, and to make public institutions more efficient. And even our own ministry will now have, from just 1 directorate before now, we now have 5 directorates. And that's why you see we're making the marked progress we are making now as an institution. So it's the same for several other public institutions. Their structures have been reviewed, restructured, to ensure that they are efficient and effectively providing services to the public. That has been done. Of course, when you go to infrastructure, technology, infrastructure, we have made a lot of improvements. Electricity, when we talk, people say, oh, well, we know Western area has challenges, and we hope to address those challenges by next year. I mean, by next year, 3rd quarter, the issue of blackouts will become history in the Western area. But for other parts of the country, Western area is not Sierra Leone. We have other parts of the country. When we came, there was no electricity in Bo, Kedem, and Kono. Today they have reliable electricity, 24 hours except for technical hitches. Kamakwe, there was no electricity there. Today they have 24 hours electricity. When we came, there was no electricity in Pujo. They have electricity today. When we came, there was no electricity in Kailang. They have electricity today. There was no electricity on Bont Island. They have electricity today. I mean, and several other chief and headquarter towns, they have electricity today. Yeah? So that's why when we say we've taken electricity from 18% to 36%, and we hope to go beyond that in the next year. You know, a lot of investments are coming in. Of course, you are aware of the NANS project here for the Western area. Bumuna is going to be expanded by another 50%. Several other things are coming in. We are moving towards renewable energy. That's why investments are being made in solar energy, hydropower, etc. Yeah. So as for roads, we've done a lot of roads. Road infrastructure is not our flagship, but if you compare what we inherited and where we are now, we've done far better. Roads, Of course. The Hillside bypass road you are using now was completed by President Bio, started by former President Amatijan Kaba. The Moyamba, where I come from, Moyamba Junction, Moyamba Road, was done by President Bio. Quite recently, he has done the Bandajuma Pujan Road. Also, we have just done the Kailan Boedu Road, and it's going to extend out to Koidu for the establishment of the sub-regional market we used to have in Koindu. Yeah, the road from Kabbalah to Falaba is ongoing. The road from Bo to Matru, where my brother here says he hails from, that used to be one of the most atrocious roads in Sierra Leone. It's going to be completed in December with a major bridge. You understand?
And still continuing this self-assessment, what would you rate the execution or fulfillment of the manifesto promises from 2018 to 2023?
I always say on a scale of 10, 8, because the other 2 is because it is still work in progress. And by the time the president ends his mandate in the next 2 years, a lot would have happened to take it over 9 and even up to 10. Yeah, so that's my rating.
All right, let's move the conversation away from you for a bit and come to Andrew Lavely. Andrew, you've been very, your institution, IGR, you've been very active over the years with surveys, with citizens, but as well as a civil society space. Assess President Bio's second term, especially in comparison to the first term. Where would you say there have been lapses or improvements comparing the second term and the first term?
Thank you very much. So for all Sierra listening to me, I think we should have leaders. I mean, I know we are going to have a new generation of leaders, but we should have leaders that are more effective than President Bio, than President Kuruma and President Kaba. For us to have a better Sierra Leone, we need leaders that are more productive than what we have. It doesn't mean that they have not made success, they have made gains. So that's why it is useful when we are assessing, we do not only assess them, we actually assess over time, because the need for water 10 years ago is the same need for water. And the need for electricity is the same need for electricity. So what we've done at the Institute, we've identified what we call 100 results targets. I mean, because currently what we have from the government's medium-term development plan, which actually was derived from the Big 5 Game Changers, which was the campaign platform of the president, is being aligned currently with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, is being aligned currently with the Vision 2063 for Africa. So it means we now have a document that is being funded, and it was the same under Kuruma. So all of these are aligned. Of course, Kaba, we did not get that. But it is useful to situate that in context, because what I like about this argument, about this conversation, we are now having a situation where political parties are actually talking about results. Let us talk about the progress we are making on water, or the progress we're making on food. And the reason why I really want to shift this conversation a bit, because there are things that SLPP should achieve that they have not achieved. There are things that APC need to go back to say, no, these are things that we did not achieve. Let us look back, look inwards to see how can we become a better party. So, and that makes policy conversation more effective, especially on platforms like this. Because we live in a country where, excuse me, Phoebe, I seem to be drifting from your argument. We live in a country where if care is not taken, we could be like, just like the Arab. You know, if you go to the Arab country, someone can just go into a plane and just go bomb him or herself because of the view. So we have this strong, how do you call it, binary situation where you have people who believe in APC, people who believe in SLPP, instead of actually focusing on what the results are. And there is actually a middle ground, which I think is what I'm here to push. So there are things that that have been achieved. I mean, he is right on many things. When we published the what we call the Sierra Leone Development Scorecard, which we published over a month ago now, the development scorecard talks on agriculture because we are not looking at processes. For citizens, they look at results. You will say the cow chop, how much chop a day. It's not the number of workshops, the number of conferences, not even the number of tractors you bought, but it's their food. So there are three results on agriculture. One is increase the land area of land cultivated by 40%, increase the Sierra Leone to obtain food self-sufficiency by increasing rice yield to 4 million metric tons of rice, and reduce the importation value of rice, poultry and onion and flour to $67 million by 2030. So if I start from the last one, which is importation, increase in importation, this is where one area where under APC we had importation of rice in particular was lower in terms, when you compare it in money terms, was lower compared to importation now. So whilst rice production has increased, but importation volumes are still bigger. So the other day we asked the Minister of Agriculture, why is it that you still have importation volumes still bigger compared to 2017? Because we have all of this data comparing to 2017. His argument was that maybe it's inflation. You can have 5 bags of rice today at $1 million. So tomorrow you may have 3 bags of rice at $1 million. He just said stop comparing importation figures just by the amount. But what is more important is rice in self-sufficiency to increase back to 4 million metric tons of rice. At the moment, we've only produced 1.44 million metric tons of rice. Granted, by 2017, it was around 800,000 metric tons of rice. It has increased to 1.44 million metric tons of rice. And if from what we are seeing, the way we rate it, we actually rated it yellow, which means it's minimal progress. Because if your target is 4 million metric tons of rice, I'm hearing Mr. Sise talking about research that has been invested in to improve the rice variety, which is nice. That's why I said we are not actually measuring input. But
isn't it the processes that lead to the results? Do you discountenance the process that leads to the achievement of the results?
It's difficult to measure processes. In fact, in the first biometer that we did, that was the biggest challenge that we had. So you can say, okay, we're going to measure number of conferences made, number of travels made, number of laws passed in Parliament, but they are all meant to achieve certain results. So if these results are not achieved, then it's a problem. But let me just go to the overall. Yeah. Overall, out of the 100 targets, 5 of those targets have been achieved. We have 26 of those targets that have been making significant progress. We have about 36 that are making minimal progress. 21 targets at the time we assessed have not started. Not started in the sense that it doesn't mean that they have not done anything, but they are not started showing results. And then we have 12 targets that are not rated because we do not have the data. And you may ask, where are we getting all of this from? We're getting from, this is not IGL's data, this is third-party data. So for example, for health, we listen to UNICEF, to WHO's data. If WHO said maternal mortality was high, but it's low now, then that's, for agriculture, it's FAO, which definitely comes through the Ministry of Agriculture as well. So for labor, you take ILO data. So there are areas where much work has been done, but there are areas where much have not been done. So for example, for the targets that have been achieved, let me just read it for the public. It says that it's cash transfer. They want to transfer cash to 35,000 poor households. If you go to NACSA will show you a data showing that we have even exceeded this. For health, they want to reduce infant mortality by 50%. That has been done. We've achieved that. For foreign affairs, they want to develop and implement a campaign strategy for Sierra Leone's candidacy as the chair of ECOWAS Commission of Heads of State. President Bio is now the head of ECOWAS today. On fisheries, they want to increase industrial catch of fish to 150,000 metric tons by 2030 is achieved. So it's good we look at all of these results area, because the more they achieve these results, the more you and I are better. So if you look at areas where, let me just look at targets that we are down on. Say, for example, on technology, all job adverts should be uploaded on one portal as deemed necessary. I know there is progress on that, but the reason why this should be done, we live in a country where people say, no, they're not giving me that job there because me not to Mende, me not to SLPP. So when you have a system where everybody sees how people are recruited, it should be done. It's not just a manifesto campaign promise. It's something that is good for Sierra Leone. So you have drugs, for example. The issue of drugs is one area where the government said they want to reduce substance abuse. But we realize that hospitalization of young people for drugs increased by 13-fold, almost from 2023 to 2025, it increased by almost 1,300%. So that is an area that is taking a U-turn. If you look at women, so you have 21 of these areas which government, I mean, he's right to say we cannot achieve everything now, but you can assess at any time. It's not that we cannot, we are not saying that. So you have this on trade to increase manufacturing by 20 to 25% of GDP. At the moment, trade is only about 8% of GDP. And why is this necessary? This morning I was listening to Dangote. He was saying, why are we just exporting beans? And we can also argue that why are we just exporting iron ore debt? Why can't we add value? Because the more you add value, the more you have industries, manufacturing industries, the better you can increase jobs. So when they said we want to increase manufacturing to 25% of GDP, it's on purpose. So all of these are areas, and these are things we should not play politics around. And it's good we have genuine conversation between the opposition and the government as to how do we make Sierra Leone better on this. So export value. I say this because Fibian, for most of the assets that are in London, for example, if you look at the High Commission, you know Sierra Leone bought it. You know how were they bought? They were bought by SLPMB at the time, Sierra Leone Produce Marketing Board. So it means if we make our country efficient, if we make institutions efficient, there's quite a lot for us to enjoy together. So I really don't want sometimes this where we are torn in between arguing which political party is better on which, but definitely it's an interesting argument, but it's good for us to exchange ideas as to how do we make the country better on indicator by indicator. There are indicators, to be fair to government, that have made significant progress on public service reform, on transport. If you look at women's empowerment, I think there's significant progress on women's empowerment, establishment of GBV systems, which is established across the country, gender units established in all offices, the number of women that were in public service, in political offices has increased to 30%. The question is, we cannot take it as significant progress because there are still many things that are lacking. So there are tourism, we measure tourism by international arrivals. So we can see that international arrivals actually increased when compared to 2017 from around 70,000 to about 200,000 international arrivals. So that's how you measure tourism growth. Mining is one area that I think government need to learn from APC. Because how do you measure mining? You measure mining by how much is coming in. So we used to have, by 2017, there are just about, we had 16% of mining contribution to domestic revenue. Now we only have about 6%. In fact, under 6%. And at that time, Sierra Leone was only growing on the back of iron ore. Now we have the mining industry diversified, yet it's a paradox. That's why we've diversified in mining with rutile, with iron ore, with gold, yet mining's contribution to revenue is low. So it's good. I mean, this tracker is here, and it's for the public to see. So it's good we look at indicator by indicator, see how government pushes the envelope.
Right. Let's bring Eke into the conversation. Looking at the pros and cons, has His Excellency Julius Maada Bio impressed you? I mean, from the spectrum of the opposition?
Sincerely and putting God first, I think President Bio was very sincere to himself. He has failed us, and I can recall vividly in his New Year's address, he acknowledged that he has not done as expected, and that more is yet to be done, and that he did not promise a quick fix. And again, he re-echoed the same at his town hall meeting in McKinney, that he acquiesced to the fact that the issue of energy in this country, he has been there, his very self, and that is not something he can fix. And it's not a quick fix situation, or it's a quick fix solution. But what exactly this morning I've detected from my co-panelist, more especially from Joe, is that when he said it's unfair to judge President Bio now for a term of office that is 2 in a total of 10 years, and you've utilized 8, and you're telling us it's unfair that you have to wait till the remaining 2 is done. What cannot be achieved in 8 cannot be achieved in 2. So I see that disheartening. I see that's very, 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 very unpatriotic to Sierra Leoneans, because it is of us that we hold our government accountable year after year, promises being checkmated, whether they are fulfilled. And you're here to telling us exactly that it is unfair at this point to checkmate him. 8 out of 10, I don't see it very, very tangible. He further continued to say prior to this time we had only 2 universities, and with the advent of President Bio, more has been done. I start to wonder whether he was really prepared to come in here, because I knew before President Bio had entered office, there had been Lincoln Queen, EBK, Unimac, and these are all universities. So I don't know where exactly he drew his research from. However, what is very, very key to me when he said that the paddy rice, to some great extent, that we're consuming, to a very large extent, is being produced here. One, we want to know where these farms are, where is the production being made, and where can we access the market. But what is very clear to all of us is that when President Bio mentioned that this year is a year of action, that's where I see the twist of reality. How can this year be a year of action while Sierra Leone is still rated, out of 16 countries in Africa, Sierra Leone is rated 13 out of 16.
In what?
In our human development growth. I'll give you the statistics.
Go ahead.
You cannot, Sierra Leone is slightly above, is it?
You're talking about West Africa, there are 54 countries in Africa.
Yes, West Africa, I'm saying.
Good.
West Africa, we are rated 13 out of 16.
On what?
Let me give you the statistics. And that is exactly where I want us to anchor our discussion this morning.
Is it on development?
Exactly, my brother. So, you continue to talk that we're doing significant progress, whilst exactly when you look at human development, good governance, and the rule of law, you see the opposition day in, day out being intimidated, being silenced, dissenting voices being incarcerated. And you mentioned that you call it development. I don't see that development at any point. I see that as a complete mockery to the very Sierra Leoneans you've promised to come and serve. Zainab Sharif is incarcerated for speaking out boldly, challenging issues. This is the report. It's titled Sierra Leone ranks 13 in West Africa on Human Development Index. And we're slightly above.
Who wrote that?
What's their source?
This is coming from Sierra Loaded, one of a credible source in this country I can vouch for.
Where did they get the, I just want to access the document. But it's okay, you can continue. Actually making your analysis.
It's from Sierra Loaded.
Okay.
And we are rated above.
Where did they get the data?
We are rated above Cape Verde,
okay,
Mali, and Niger. Yes, these are the countries we are rated slightly above.
Well, surely, just to be fair, everything cannot be bad at the same time.
That's where I'm coming. Except if you can allow me the same time you gave them without intersection.
Yeah, I understand.
And so, if a country out of 16 is rated 13 out of the lot, it's disheartening. For you to be seated here to say we have to pre-sing you for a promise, you promised that the guys that were in the room have performed abysmally and badly, and you're coming with a solution, and yet still listening to Lavali saying there needs to be a president that becomes better than President Ahmad Tijan Kaba, President Anes Bai Kroma, and now President Bio. That is telling you that indeed there is no solution unto this moment. And it further continues to say that all the problems we've been crying for yesteryears are still prevalent, i.e. the same water quest is still the same energy quest is still the same poor conditions of living is still the same. So you're basically telling us no step has been taken forward. But what is painful is when people deny the reality that things are not working and people try to find faces, to caricature it, to make it look good, to give it a face look that from the internal it's poor. That is deceit to your very self and to your country as a whole. So when we talk about our country not thriving, I am not literally saying that President Biya has not done anything positive. I cannot say that. But if I'm rating President Biya out of 10, President Biya has performed abysmally poor that I cannot have the effrontery, the sincerity of purpose to rate him even 1% out of 10. I can rate him to the best of my ability 0.4%, because if I attempt to rate him because if I attempt rating him 0.5%, in mathematics there is a theory called approximation. So anything that is 0.5% is automatically 1%. So I will not dare to rate him 0.5%. I will dare rate him 0.4% to tell you he has performed infinitesimally poor.
It sounds a little bit contradicting when you say you can't say he hasn't done anything good.
Yes.
Yet you say it would have to be rated as
0.4%. Because what he has done is not in any way equivalent to a 1% if you're calculating the good that is done as opposed to what was supposed to be done as promised.
So in your estimation, where is the good that has been done?
I find it very difficult. However, let me try to see how best I can figure out one few things he has done that to some extent he gives on the right and he takes on the left. Probably he said it was deliberate when he came and facilitated the Giwi Act. The question is, the women are here who've created the 30% quota for them. But was it really the right time? If yes, the right time, are those women that are given these opportunities really performing as expected? Because I support women empowerment in totality. I support everything that is woman forward, focused. But again, it's not a matter of just putting a woman forward. Are we having these competent women enough?
For clarity purposes, are you insinuating or suggesting that some of the women are not competent?
I am beginning to ask that question very certainly. But yes, we are asking for women. And this is not only coming from me, even from the 50-50 quota. The women themselves are saying, yes, we have been given the 50 quota. But again, it's not just because we are women. When we come forward, let us come with the substance. Let's come with the stamina that it requires of us, rather than just continue to dwell in this. Women should be given 30% quota. And so I buy that idea from the 50-50 group. That yes, we want them to come forward, but let them come with something on the table. Another thing I think the president did was the repeal or replacement of the death penalty. Yes, that's a laudable action. But again, was it appropriate? Because we're beginning to see exactly the challenges attached to same. Again, we see the president repealing the Libel Act and bringing in another obnoxious act, the Cybercrime Act. We see now the Central Security Intelligence Act, which is all acts that are coming again to at least take what you already waived. So all these things are beginning to see how sincere are we? How genuinely are we pushing towards making sure that what we say we internally and genuinely mean it? So for me, I hold this skepticism against the president. That on one hand he says this, on the other hand he does something very different. But what again I want to bring to our attention is what is very important, and that is Sierra Leone now being branded a narcotic state. This is very serious and it's burning, and it's really affecting us at the international scene. Okay. Our people in different countries, recently we heard about people, Sierra Leoneans being repatriated to Sierra Leone. We heard of the EU suspending funding to Sierra Leone and other issues, and one of the largest transshipments ever intercepted in Spain, suspecting that this transshipment came from Sierra Leone. These are all things that are giving a bad omen to Sierra Leone.
Who has labeled Sierra Leone a narcotic state?
And you also say suspecting.
Who has labeled?
I don't know whether you want to be the uncle.
Who has labeled Sierra Leone a narcotic state? And when did the EU suspend its funding to Sierra Leone?
This is exactly where I want us to discuss. You followed the Dutch government and the correspondence between the Australian government and the Dutch government regarding the extradition of somebody suspected to be a fugitive who they believe is in Sierra Leone, and that the government acquiesced that they are currently working with regards that subject matter with the Dutch government, and they have been served extradition papers, to which I'm coming, please, to which they are facilitating and looking at the laws relative as to how that process can be facilitated. Who is the person in question here? It's a drug kingpin. To us in Sierra Leone, government and other sources of authority say they don't know him as just Lideckers, they know him as Umar Sharif. Whilst our own ambassador attached to Guinea was intercepted with substances suspected to be drugs. Same way so, a ship that left the shores of Sierra Leone was intercepted in Spain with drugs suspected to be coming from Sierra Leone, and a host of other issues, and we've been making the headlines on the international platform to the extent that the minority leader in parliament wrote an open letter to the president, Abdul Kagbo, saying this is not giving us a good image out there, and those Sierra Leoneans out there are being intimidated just by the publication or by the show of your national passport.
What have you done?
This is why these conversations are eminent. This is why these conversations are important. That will bring government to its toes, to making sure that they know that these acts are really giving a rippling negative effect to Sierra Leoneans, both at home and abroad.
If this is that serious, AKK, you recently boycotted governance, right? The APC. You left office. The mayor left. Nearly all of the parliamentarians were out of office. And the question is, why haven't you protested for something as grave as this, drug abuse? You would protest ordinarily, of course, for things that concerns you. I mean, elections and all of these things, as you're fighting for electoral justice. Of course, fair. But why haven't you ever protested for things like this? For example, drugs that you're criticizing now. Perhaps what is demanded from the opposition. Don't you think so?
Vic, except you don't want to be fair to me this morning. However, if I can jog your memory back, whilst we boycotted Parliament on what people presumed that it was solely based on the appointment of the current Edmond Sylvester Alpha, I said it here at the same platform that our boycott of Parliament is pregnated with so many activities that have been done that does not reflect the best of Sierra Leoneans. And thus, this was just the tip that burst the iceberg. That Edmond Sylvester Alpha happens to be like the elephant in the room. But however, there are so many attachments to what exactly we're boycotting for, i.e. good governance, i.e. maintaining exactly the status quo as to what we agreed on the tripartite recommendations to be implemented to the latter. The census that has been deferred for political reasons or political gerrymandering, and so many issues et al. So I said here in this same studio that it was not precedented or primarily pegged on the fact that we are refuting Edmund Sylvester Alpha as ECSL boss, but rather there are so many things, so many clinages that are attached to that primary interest. And so this is just like a golden opportunity to making sure that we not tell the people of this country that we are not acquiescing at any point, but rather we are ready to defending democracy to the latter. And that is also the reason when the moral guarantors came, they did not only address the issue of Edmund Alpha, but they addressed other pertinent issues that were all brought on board. But again, I want to conclude rapidly. Okay. The issue of assessing this government, and that is where I want to bring my brother, Mr. Lavalley, into the picture. You see them very themselves fighting themselves as to who is saying the truth and who is not saying the truth. You can recall vividly that the chief minister authored his parliamentary or his cabinet review or assessment scorecard. And you saw the banter between the chief minister and the minister of labor, to the extent that he says the chief minister needs to be schooled properly to know exactly how assessments are done at interministerial level. That scorecard is fictitious and does not reflect exactly what is the reality on the ground. So if they are fighting within themselves, that, hey, the scorecard you gave is not correct, it's inappropriate. Okay. That is beginning to tell you that they are just white elephants in everything along the line. They are just saying things they know to their very self that is not true to their very selves. So my question my answer to all what you were saying is that President Bio rating him, I'll rate him 0.4%, and that he has performed abysmally poor collectively 8 years, and specifically 3 years down the line. There is nothing he has done that can at least synchronize or sing to the song he has just said 2026 is a year of action. For me, I haven't seen any action here too.
Let's go back to something you mentioned in your submission. You said EU has stopped funding.
Yes, of course.
But the Dutch government is lobbying the European Union to stop funding Sierra Leone, but that has not happened.
That is
the Dutch government lobbying. So what's your source of information?
Okay, let me address
the EU has stopped funding Sierra Leone when officially the EU has not stopped funding
Let me give you this. Maybe your research has not really. Let me share this. The Dutch government outside the EU are equally partners to Sierra Leone, and they equally help Sierra Leone in certain developmental areas.
But to be lobbying,
I'm coming,
to be lobbying
Can you allow me, please?
To stop funding,
can you allow me, please?
And to stop funding aren't exactly the same thing.
This is where I'm coming now.
But you said EU has stopped funding Sierra Leone.
Let me make it clear better, if you can give me the opportunity. When I said the Dutch government is now currently engaging seriously as to making sure that funding that were supposed to be meant for Sierra Leone are being stopped, it's equally telling you, like I said in passing, that indeed EU is making frantic efforts that outside their own personal as Dutch governments, like when you say JICA, the Japan government and Sierra Leone, and any other direct transaction like the America to Sierra Leone, like has been stopped effective instantaneously. And they're now taking further steps to making sure that if this area of transnational organized crime is not thoroughly dealt with, and as they have served extradition papers to the government of Sierra Leone, to which our Attorney General Minister of Justice have requested to same, they are taking further steps to making sure that they've been a member to the European Union, can take further steps to making sure that punitive actions are taken to making sure that Sierra Leone can be forced to making sure that this particular fugitive is handed over to them for him to face the crime he has committed. So basically, if we are transcending further to what my brother is saying again with regards to the stomach bomb and the Bondapi rice farming, I don't see any government that has been so deceitful to this country like the SLPP. I remember President Bio during his first term, he promised the people of this country that before he ends his first term, we will now start to feed ourselves. The Bondapi and the Tomabon rice project will start. On to this point, if I hear him say clearly, is that they have increased the acreage of irrigation. What a very, very funny situation. I don't see government, and this is where I'm going to argue intellectually. When government try to make proposals It's not somebody who just come as a lay person. First, they have to look at all conditions intact as to what will lead to the ultimate result, which you rightly said, the production stage, the end product. And when you take all this into cognizance, and then you make a pronouncement, that come by this time, you will now start to see rice being grown from this particular point. Not losing the sight of the fact that before that rice can be harvested and be processed and be bagged for final consumption, you need to know first you have to plow, you have to irrigate. So when you take all these things into consideration, then you pronounce. And that by this point in time, and this is where the government made the pronunciation, and up to this point, a singular grain of a rice has not been produced from that particular angle. And yet my brother is seated here.
Even the government said they approved the production of rice.
Just imagine, this is exactly where I want to, that's where I took off from. And when he says most of the paddy rice we're eating or consuming in this country is as a result of government-private partnership. And I'm beginning to ask him this question, where is this rice being grown from? Can we have an opportunity together with an independent person in this place to know? I don't know whether Mr. Lavali knows exactly where this paddy rice is grown from, that is now being harvested in Sierra Leone and we're feeding from it.
Will answer us.
But however, we want to know. But I don't like when those of us
still going on.
No, please, conclude. Please. No, Joe, I don't think you're the moderator here. But you had the latitude to say what you wanted to say.
Go ahead.
Now, let us look at exactly when President Bio spoke about substance and drug abuse.
I would want him to respond to that.
Exactly.
And then you can continue. Don't worry.
I know.
Please, Joe, where is this rice coming from?
So let me
exactly.
First of all, it's the common saying we have. When you mama mark you exam, you know they pass.
Okay.
The business of the opposition, they say, is to oppose.
Constructive. Think he's being unfair?
No. So we expect the opposition to be constructive and commonsensical. Okay. In this case, that's not what I've seen. I mean, thank God we have a neutral person here, and you had the data he read, in various areas. So you just compare and contrast that with whatever has been coming from him.
This rice, where is it coming from particularly?
Now, the area cultivated, this is for paddy rice, 554,401 acres, 2022, and the yield was 1.9 metric tons.
Where is it cultivated?
2023, 610,494 hectares. The yield, 2.13 metric tons. 2024, 636,473 hectares. The yield, 2.16. 2025, 661,016 hectares. The yield, 2.37 metric tons. This is paddy rice.
So
which farms are they coming from? Is it the Tomabom or
where are we getting these farms? And where is this?
You go to the Boli lands. Okay. Now the major Boli lands that are under cultivation.
Specifically where?
In Cambia, Pujong, Bundapi, Tomabom, and some parts of Tonkolili. There are vast Boli lands in those areas where these rice are being cultivated. And also, just travel between Moyamba Junction and Tayama. You will see vast cultivation of rice going on. Even the Republic of Sierra Leone is cultivating vast hectares of rice at the moment. You just travel immediately after Moyamba Junction. Let him board a vehicle tomorrow morning.
I cannot go that way.
And set off.
Sorry, for clarification purposes, Joe, the data you read out, where is that from for verification purposes?
This is for the Ministry of Agriculture. They track everything. And now, my brother is saying that he has not seen anything. So let's compare the data now.
What I said was
2018, before we took office, education. We had less than 1 million kids in school, far less than that. Today we have about 2.5 million kids in school. Enrollment over 58%. Facts, you cannot challenge that. We did not have gender parity in school. Today we have. Before we came, there are far more boys completing school than girls. Today it is the opposite because of the investment we've made in girls' education. That is fact. Before we came, there were only 32 or 31,000 kids taking the WAS. Today it is in excess of 200,000. If you have all of this and you still say it is not progress, I wonder which planet you are coming from.
I think what is
so let's also go to education.
Can I
he mentioned, no, well, you had your time, sir. I'm only responding. You've had time to say everything here. Yeah? Now, if you go to technical and higher education, we've established 11 vocational institutions that were not there before we came. Yeah? Because we are putting emphasis on developing the middle level manpower skills. That is only what we take Sierra Leone to places. You understand? I told him earlier, we've expanded the university. Milton Magai College, it was a teacher training college when we came. We've transformed it into a technical university. The Eastern Technical University in Kenema was a polytechnic when we came. We've transformed that into a university. The Cornell Science or Technical University, it was not there before we came. We established that. You understand? That's public universities I was talking about. He's talking about Unimac. Well, for your information, we've had more private universities now. You understand? Than where we came. You understand me? And the universities are churning out more graduates far now than when we came. If those are not results, I wonder what you call it. Now, you're talking about agriculture yields. You had Mr. Lavali. We are not there yet. We agree. I said it here, that it is work in progress. Are you telling me, I should not say it is unfair to judge the president? The president has a 10-year mandate, so I should say, because he completed the first term. This is the second term. He has 2 more years to go, and we have several projects in the pipeline that are going to benefit people.
Sincerely think what you can
I just mentioned electricity. Let me come, please. Allow me to learn. I just mentioned electricity. Western area, electricity has always ever been problematic. When we came, by 2018, the consumption for the Western area was about 60 megawatts. Today, communities have expanded all over the place, and everybody wants electricity. And that has increased the need, yeah? So now it's over 100 megawatts that we need in the Western here. The president just launched the new thing, 30 megawatts that's coming in. I told you we are expanding Bumuna by another 50 megawatts. The Nant project is on. By this time next year, we'll be getting this is where July, okay, up to September. We'll be getting 108 megawatts from the Nant project for Western area. That will address, and we are not only providing electricity for domestic consumption. I should also let you know again, we are thinking well for Sierra Leone. This is about supporting investments, because investments need electricity. Electricity is very, very critical to their survival. That's what we know. And that's why we are bringing in all this support, this energy support, to ensure that we don't just give domestic electricity, but also electricity for investments. Because it is the investment that are going to create jobs, it is the investment that are going to contribute to our GDP. We are very mindful of what. So if you see all of these things happening and you say nothing is happening, I wonder where you...
Gentlemen,
and you have Mr. very clearly.
Joe and AKK, there are quite a lot of things to also touch on, and we have to be mindful that we have to cover some of those things before we run out of the time for this. Let's come to the economy. Part of the campaign promises of the SLPP-led government was to drastically reduce the wage bill. The SLPP had criticized the APC for creating jobs, duplicating certain responsibilities. But let's go through the wage bill. So it says that our wage bill has grown significantly from roughly 1.5 trillion in 2016 to 7.9 billion in the budget 2026 budget. So this is a 10-year time frame. 2016 was 2 years before your government took over. To fast forward to now, 2026. So it's grown from 1.5 trillion in 2016 to 7.9 trillion in 2026.
So let me explain that.
How do you justify campaigning on the premise to the people of Sierra Leone that the wage bill is bloated. Give us a chance and we're going to reduce the wage bill, only to now exponentially increase the wage bill.
Who said the wage bill was bloated in 2016, 2017?
Oh, it was part of your campaign. SLPP members had campaigned on that.
Anybody saying that.
So let me also remind you, Josise,
yes,
when you sit here to speak, you were sent by the government. Whatever you say is whatever you say is considered from them. Equally, AKK seated here is sent by the APC. Whatever he says goes to what the APC says.
Yes.
During the elections for President Bio's first term in 2018, a lot of members from the SLPP were engaging the media with campaign promises. As you know, many of you were engaging the media, and it was not a secret that some of you were campaigning that the wage bill is bloated. Let's clear that.
Oh, so
because you were asking who said that. Let's clear that it was said.
Yes. So what I would say, the official campaign promises are embedded in our manifesto. In the manifesto of
but that was not my question. My question is, how do you justify campaigning to the public that the wage bill is bloated and you're going to reduce it, only to now come and exponentially expand it?
So I'm going to respond to the exponential increase, as you say. But I also want to make something very, very clear here. Our official campaign promises are embedded in the manifesto of His Excellency the President. If that is the document you had referenced, then I have no issues.
Just for clarity, are you saying no member of your party ever campaigned on the wage bill?
Let me just quote you the manifesto, chapter 6.4. Let me quote you. On controlled wages and salaries caused by bloated public sector through presidential appointments and establishment of commissions that largely usurp the line ministry's functions on regulated wage increases, double or triple digging of salaries and pension, as well as uncoordinated recruitment across public sector. That's a quote from your manifesto.
Good. So there's nowhere in that document that it says we have
the same wage bill to be talking about.
There are two different scenarios. That is talking about duplication of functions. Let me come, please. Okay. Duplication of functions, people collecting multiple salaries from the same source. We've stopped all of that.
But today, it's increased.
No, it was there before we came. There are people who collected salaries in 4 or 5 different institutions.
So if you've stopped all of that, how come the wage bill has exponentially increased?
So let me come now.
That's the justification you've not been able to provide.
No, so that is now where I want to come.
No, but you've been taking us to whether or not it was said in the campaign, which of course it was.
Because we
justify
needed to have
how
a clarification
come the wage bill has exponentially
as to who said
bloated.
The wage bill was bloated. That's what I needed clarification. Now I can respond to your question of the wage bill. Now we've had the clarification. Whatever you are saying, you did not reference what you've referenced there. It's quite different. I'm coming.
Okay.
I've just said there are two different scenarios. You understand? You had a scenario where people collected salaries from multiple institutions from the same wage bill. We'll stop that. As I sit here in Sierra Leone now, nobody can collect 2 salaries from the same source.
That being the case, the expectation is the wage bill would be lower, but it's not the case.
Let me come now to the wage bill. The wage bill is basically people being paid from the government source. You understand? That's what it is. We've been telling you we've recruited over 14,000 teachers. Check their salaries. We've reviewed and reassessed teachers for promotion. Their promotions go with salary increases. Check that. We've recruited, as I sit here, very soon there will be a military pass out. Over 1,000 soldiers. Just a few months ago again, there was a pass out of over another one. In the security sector, we've recruited thousands. The police, the army, correctional service, fire force, etc. They are all going to, because we need them. That's why we are recruiting. It's not jobs for the boys. Yeah? In the health sector, we've recruited thousands of medical people. Every year now, for your information, we used to train about 30, 40 doctors. Now it's in excess of 200 doctors. And all of them, we bring them because we need the doctors. We do not have enough. We do not have enough. Even at this, as I speak now, we do not have enough teachers in the classrooms. We are still recruiting because teachers are retiring and we need to replace them. They are part of the way where we've just recruited thousands of civil servants. We have them. I told you that our directorate expanded and they are still recruiting staff for us. They are all coming to the way. So that's why the wage bill is what it is. You understand? And there is this argument, all people say, political appointees, you earn more, that is why the wage bill is up. Oh, that's not true. There are civil servants now that earn more than me. We have increased salaries. Even this September, salaries are going to be increased for civil servants from grades, I think grades 10 or so, or grades 13 for senior civil servants. Salaries are going to be increased. We just increased salaries for the army in April. All of those are part of the wage bill. So that is basically, and we need these services. It's basically for the purpose of efficient service delivery. We need more people, we need more manpower in all these public institutions. That's why we are recruiting. We still need more nurses, we still need more doctors, we still need more teachers, we still need more security sector people. That's why we are recruiting. Because if we fall short of providing these services, the same people who come and tell us who failed. Like what I hear.
Meanwhile, Joe, the World Bank has just said that public debt now stands at approximately 62.7 billion. That is around $2.61 billion. Can this go down? It's almost 50.8% of our gross domestic product.
Yes, it started going down. Yeah, based on the last review done by the IMF and the World Bank. Yeah, that's one of the indicators they take into consideration. You understand me? It started going down, and that's why our economy is beginning to pick up. We are no longer on the life machine we used to be before we came. That's another area we've succeeded. Yeah. Check the status of our economy.
You say our economy is beginning to pick up. Just last week, Josie said, so the exchange rate for US dollar against the Leones had been steady for about 2 years. But just last week, it went from changing $100 US at 2,370 Leones in the streets to now 2,380 Leones. There's 10 Leones added to it.
Yeah, so these are fluctuations. At times it goes up and down, but the fact
it had been steady for about 2 years.
Yes, and it's going to remain so.
So what happened that now it's going up? Because you just mentioned, steady progress.
Yes.
Now the US dollar, there's 10 Leones added to it.
Again,
and that black market rate that changes does affect businesses.
Yeah, because that's where people go. But when you go to the bank, it's not the same rate. It's far below that. The official rate is far below that.
Yes, the bank rate is always below the
So let me say this again. And these are the challenges to continue to face. You understand? As a government. The global challenges. Yeah? These challenges, we did not foresee them. Just a year or so when we started grappling with stabilizing the economy, we had Corona. Corona shut down economies in the whole world. And a couple of years after the world started picking up again, the Russia-Ukraine war came. You understand? And shattered economies again. And at the moment, you are all aware of the Middle East war. These geopolitical tensions and conflicts are what are stifling economies. Like for instance, we had brought inflation right down to 4.75% before the Middle East war, the Eastern Middle East war started. Yeah, now as at May this year, it was again to 14%, just because of the situation we had in Middle East. Yeah? And it is fear we know that is responsible for inflation. That has affected a whole lot of economies across the globe, including ours. You understand? So these are not makings of the government.
Yesterday,
these problems are beyond our control. But however, we have the expertise. We have one of the best finance ministers in Africa. Okay. I mean, he has received awards here and there, commendations here and there. Yes, he's doing his best. But the problems across the globe continue to affect us.
On field, yesterday I was speaking with the Minister of Information here in Chegnoba, and he had told the people of this country that, that it will be reviewed again. Now the question is, when? How soon can the fuel prices be reviewed? Because the argument that a lot of civil society organizations are making, the Native Consortium, even Labour Congress, is that what you've reduced is far infinitesimal compared to the economic crisis we're faced with in the country right now. Okay. So they wanted to be reduced further.
Yes.
Can that happen?
So let me say this again. Yeah. The price of barrel of oil does not directly correspond to the price of the finished product. That is why the formula only takes into consideration what we call the plant, which is the cost of the finished product. A barrel of oil, you understand, I'm not sure can produce 1 liter of petrol. It is from the crude oil that they produce petrol, diesel, kerosene, jet oil, all of these, from the crude oil. So when the crude oil falls and people start saying, oh, there should be a corresponding decrease, that cannot be, you understand? And also, let me just also mention the fact that before this time, when oil prices, because before the war, pre-war prices were around $67 to $70 a barrel. Yeah, and then it shot up to well over $100 a barrel. Yeah, and the way these things work, I mean, they fluctuate. Even as we sit here, the prices could shoot up again tomorrow. When if Iran could just say we are shutting down the Strait of Hormuz because this happened last night, the markets will react. You understand? So it is not stable until the war is over. Now, all this while when it shot to well over $100.
If we look at local variables, now I will tell you that, for example, the road maintenance cost in the field, additional cost, for example. Just this year, when you introduced the finance bill, you added tax on the fuel, which is why it shot up at some point early this year.
No,
if you consider all those variables, which are local variables,
we have
even 16 leons to 15 leons. If all of those are removed for now,
there is a formula.
I know that formula,
and it's that formula that determines increase or decrease in prices. You understand?
What about taxes?
So what I'm trying to say here, all this while that the barrel of oil was above $100, you understand, before it fell just 2 weeks or so ago, you understand, it was government that was subsidizing. Diesel could have been 45,000.
The minister said that yesterday.
Government was subsidizing 5,000 on every liter of diesel. Petrol could have been 40,000. Okay. You understand? Government was subsidizing that just for the price for the prices to remain as they were until the recent review. You understand me? So this is what the civil society people are not saying. I mean, government has borne a lot during this crisis. That's why a lot of appeals have been made here. And also, in the midst of all of this, the international support from our development partners has dwindled. Because of all these geopolitical tensions all over the place, they are now focusing on spending more on injecting more resources in their military budgets. Most of those resources that used to come to us to support development projects are now factored into their defense budgets. So we are finding innovative ways of raising revenue to address our problems. You understand? So these are the issues we have to be very, very sincere about.
Right. Before Andrew comes in again, the area of drugs is another big, elephant.
Yes.
So far, I maintain President Bio hasn't said anything to us. He has been accused of being in bed with this man, this very man that they are looking for, this notorious drug kingpin. Up till now, we've not had a single word from him. Are the rumors true that the first family is involved with this man?
President Bio is an international statesman.
I understand.
He cannot be in bed with any rogue person. Yeah? The individual referred to here, well, media people claim they spotted him. That was his photo. As far as the police are concerned,
do you dispute
that particular name has not been in this country?
What about Mausheri?
Immigration records are there.
What about Mausheri?
No, let me come.
Okay.
Immigration records are there for anybody to check. It's very, very simple. I mean, you cannot come by road from wherever you lived in Europe to Sierra Leone. You must have come, so the immigration records are there to check whether this particular person.
Are you saying this man has never entered Sierra Leone?
That particular name, we don't have it. You understand? And now let me say this again.
Okay.
The particular individual they are referring to, he has evaded arrest in several European countries, and in all of those countries he has lived in, he has lived with different names. Therefore, if at all he was the one that came here, that particular face was identified as a sheriff. You understand? Because this same man lived in Germany. He had a different name there. He lived in some other country. He had different names there. So if this same man, if it is this man you're actually referring to, if that is his name, we do not have that person here.
Why was he in the church?
So let me also make this other point now.
Why was he in the church?
Even at the town hall, President Bio made it very clear. In fact, he's now seeking international cooperation.
Okay.
Drugs problems are problems facing all countries across the globe. You understand me?
I'm looking at the data now for IGR, and they're saying that it has even increased from 2017 to 2026, that Sierra Leone transformed a minor illicit crossing into major logistic hubs for global cocaine trafficking. And now they're saying between 2023 and 2025, synthetic drug markets became the fastest growing in West Africa. That's statistics from IGR. Their recent scorecard.
So my point here is, we admit quite clearly as a government that we are grappling with this, and that's why we are seeking support. But we very strongly reject the narrative of a narco state. Come on, we cannot be. Even the Spain
transshipment.
He kept on saying suspected. I'm glad he said suspected. And the security forces did their investigations, and they concluded that that ship, you understand, that ship did not leave with that cargo from Sierra Leone. It's as simple as that. They've laid that to rest all this while. Now the issue of Kush and other things. I mean, I heard the risk communication pillar at the task force for drug and substance abuse. Yeah, the government has done a lot. As I sit here, we've established rehabilitation centers. We have one here at Hastings. We have Gundama, Bo. We have in Dawu for Eastern region. We now have in Makini. You understand? They have been rehabilitating young people, and it's not just rehabilitating them. We've also been ensuring that after rehabilitation, they are giving skills training so that they can go back into their communities and become very responsible and productive citizens again. And that has been working. Every month, dozens of them come out from those rehabilitation centers. That's what we have been, and also we've been cracking down heavily on drug dealers. You understand me? If you go to the courts now, there have been dozens of convictions of drug dealers in our courts, and several more are being prosecuted. You understand? So the message here for us is, the communities we live in, this is where everything happens. It is in these communities that we have the drug dealers, that we have the young people that go to abuse drugs, that we have all sorts of people, you understand, involved in this drug thing. Our business is to report. The police cannot be everywhere at the same time. When we report, we help government. That's the point we are making. For the opposition to be making outrageous allegations, I mean, it's so sad. They are not thinking of the fact that they are destroying the reputation of this country. Yeah? I mean, all of these funny things we'll be seeing in the social media, from what my brother has been saying here, I can now conclude that they are the ones that have been behind it.
I take the greatest exception. I think I have to interject here.
Painting a very negative, bad image of the country. You have a role to play. You are also part of governance. That is why I'm happy
please
you ask them
what
they are doing about it in parliament. You should be working with government, you understand me, to handle this thing instead of making all sorts of baseless propaganda about it.
Can I respond quickly?
So we are saying this is a Sierra Leonean problem. You are also part of governance. Let us work together to stop it. All countries are
okay. So we'll get Ekeke to respond to that quickly as we try to round off this conversation.
001. You need not to remind us the opposition as being part of government and the governance of this country. We know that. And that is also the reason why the leadership in parliament has shown serious leadership in that, by writing an open letter to the president that this particular act is creating a rippling negative effect on Sierra Leone, both home and abroad. And thus, that does not in any way make the APC celebrate that reputation to our nation. Please, I'm coming, please. You don't do it that way. What we have done is that we make sure that we have championed campaigns against substance and drug abuse. We've held town hall meetings. We've engaged on workshops. We've made public awareness raising. That was not only to stop there. We attended the president when he took his walk at Hastings and other places, to the extent that we were in Parliament, in State House, that the president did not acknowledge the presence of the mayor of the city, to the extent that she was sidelined, even when she was making frantic efforts for and on behalf of the people of this country. That to tell you that the APC is in solidarity with government to making sure that we nip this thing in the bud, no olive arm was extended to us. So for you to sit here and say that, it's unfortunate. I don't expect you to be saying that. But however, please wait. Please, I said for our country.
You could not substantiate it. Nobody declared us.
You don't do it this way. You spoke for almost 20 minutes. I didn't say a word. What is very decent and civilized in doing is when somebody is talking, you give him the opportunity to talk. What I have said here is very clear and unambiguous. The APC, as a political party, sober as it is, we are ready to partner with government to making sure that this particular branding, that they are branding our country to being a hub of drug trafficking and Sierra Leone to some extent, being nicknamed a narcotic state does not have a positive effect on us. If that was not said well, then try to understand it in this simplest way to say. But to say the APC celebrates it and we don't know the repercussion it is causing on the name of Sierra Leone, I think we know it better than you guys. No. Because we are treating it with the seriousness it deserves.
That's what
but one thing you missed and you did not understand, please, and let me make it very quick. With the area of the free quality education, it has now resulted to a blame game, as I heard the president clearly in McKinney, that program he thought was going to succeed. He ended up blaming whosoever is a party to it. He started blaming you guys from the executive, the parliament, even the parents of the kids, that we need to come on board and make sure that if you ask for A, B, and Z in school, you don't pay for it. That is exactly what I stand to ask the president. Why, in fact, did you have to say that statement when you know you have already said it's a free quality education? So that means there must be systems in place to making sure that the teacher does not even ask. Not even to say if the teacher asks, you must not pay. There must be situations and circumstances to making sure that
I wish I had time.
Let's.
So what is very clear,
we need to round off this segment.
Free quality education, you guys are trumpeting all over the place. It's the same free quality education we have seen. Over 22,000 students have been denied to sit public exams. As a basic
gentlemen,
you don't feel please,
sorry, we'll have to round off.
Then there should be need for you to respond.
Teachers were named and shamed at the court.
Gentlemen,
he said lies.
AKK and
Joe. These are lies.
AKK and Joe.
I am not saying anything that is not true here.
And Joe,
Joe is just impatient to allow me to talk.
The word gentleman comes with much respect bestowed.
But if that is so, Joe needs to understand that.
Gentlemen, please conduct yourselves.
I did not give you this headache you're having now when you were talking.
Please maintain decorum in our studio.
I think you need to be fair to tell Joe to be quiet.
Now, Andrew, as we try to round off this segment, which we have to do now, self-assessing the conversation between the APC and SLPP as usual, not my fault, your fault. I've done this much, no you haven't. Where are we sincerely, and where should we hope to get to as a nation, beyond the APC and the SLPP usual?
Thank you very much. It's really a very refreshing conversation. I only hope we make it more productive, make it a real productive dialogue on what we can do better. So, I mean, that's really what you always expect of politicians. We do trade accusations. So you refer to our assessment and the ministry and the chief minister's assessment. I mean, you were right. There are two different assessments.
Exactly.
He was more assessing processes, how many, bills being played in parliament, how much funds have you collected. Our assessment basically saying, you've said these are the results that you want to achieve. How much have you achieved that? So I just wanted to make that clarification. That's really the difference between the two. So there are two positives that I can say, because I cannot sit here to say that there are positives, that there are negatives. So one clearly that I will say it's the life expectancy of Sierra Leone. It has increased from 54 years to 62 years. I think it's good celebrating, because when you say life expectancy has increased, there's quite a lot that has gone into that for life expectancy as of 2025. So it increased from 54 years in 2017 to 62 years as of 2025. Then, of course, rice self-sufficiency, the data you've been talking about, where is this rice coming from? And you should ask FAO. FAO that has been saying food insecurity is high. It's the same FAO that is saying that food insecurity has reduced by 13%. In fact, the same FAO says that Sierra Leone rice self-sufficiency has increased to 72%. So it means 72% of what we consume in Sierra Leone are now being produced in Sierra Leone. It's improved to some point. But there are a lot of areas that we should worry about as a country in terms of where we can do better. And this is where, to me, cooperation between the two parties is really important. For example, contracts. The contract being passed in Parliament. Certain times you ask, where are these laws coming from? The things that we're losing. Yes, you talk about debt. If you pass good contracts, good laws, definitely we can reduce debt. We sat here, I don't know whether you listened to us the other day when we published the thing on the toll road. $172 million collected in 9 years between two regimes, and only $1 million came to Sierra Leone. And we seem not to be concerned about that. It appears as if parties seem to be fighting over how can I retain the machinery rather than how can I improve the debt. Adolescent pregnancy is still a concern. It's been reduced to 10%, but it's still much a concern. But I think what is more important is the question of peace and cohesion. Yes, when you look at many countries across Africa and around the world, Sierra Leone is a big corner of hope when it comes to peace. But I think we are losing grounds on peace and cohesion. Just last year, we used to be first in West Africa on peace. We are now second. We used to be around 37 out of how many? 180 countries. Now we are 57 out of 180 countries. So I think we're sliding backwards in terms of peace and cohesion. And for us, for the data on that, we saw two drivers. So there is one which is welcoming attitudes amongst citizens. Sierra Leoneans, it's very easy for a Mende to get married to a Timni, for us to do interfaith worship. But I think the challenge, which is the second indicator, is around elite fractionality. And you can actually see that in the arguments coming. There are strong arguments that countries that have progressed versus countries that are not progressing, the difference between them is how the elites agree that let us do this about water. We can be in both parties, but let us do this about education. And you see them trading technical arguments as to what is the best way forward. But here, in 2017, elite fractionality, this is the data from Funds for Peace, which is the Global Fragility Index. It measures from between 20, the elite fractionality score is 10 to 10, is 10 to 0 to 10, with 10 meaning highly fragile and 0 meaning more stable. It showed that by 2017, it was 8 over 10. By 2025, by 2023, it was 7.2 over 10, which means it's very fragile. And guess what? By 2025 last year, it was 8.2 over 10. So if we do not handle elite fractionality approaching 2028 election, I think it will be something that is worthy of special notice. You mentioned the wage bill. Yes, he was right to say, yes, there has been increase of public officials. The economy is growing, the Sierra Leone economy. There was a debasement of the economy, which means it moved from something like 4.5 billion to something like $8.4 billion in terms of the size of the Sierra Leone economy. But I think when we talk about wage bill, we are actually talking about institutional overlaps and duplication. And that is really where attention needs to be paid. It's not really about the number of teachers you've employed, the number of nurses you've employed. Of course, that's the role of government. But how do you ensure that we are not duplicating institutions? How many democracy commissions do we have? You have Human Rights Commission. You have the National Commission for the National Council for Civic Education. How many youth commissions and youth ambassadors and positions do we have? So it's stuff like that. I think it's good we look into this to see how moving forward that can be done. But I would like to finish off with the GTT report. So there was a litany of accusations made by the GTT report. And then, but when you look back, you can see some of those actions that are criticized are being adopted today. I mean, so for example, so if there's a whole session on renting of private buildings for government offices. Now we've seen the growth of renting of private buildings for government offices, private offices. And you saw the stuff we did on the prison rise, for example. So there was quite a lot of comments on contracting. So in fact, you saw a huge list of what they call inflated contracts. But I think that's really where attention needs to be paid. So if you have a situation where one prisoner is being procured 10 cups of rice a day, and this is really across regimes, I think when you say new direction, it's not how many things you do, but how do you move from, say, it was going left to wrong, now it should be going right. The right should be the right position to take. So I think whilst we need to celebrate things like the wage bill, food self-sufficiency, but at the level of governance, that's really where the issue, especially peace and cohesion. Look at decentralization. We are seeing more of a re-centralization than decentralization. And this is really where we need to have the authority sent to citizens. And when we say decentralization, that's really where you assess the will of government to ensure that power leaves the center to the periphery. So it's good we begin to assess things like fund transfer, how much funds is being transferred, and what is the timeliness of those funds being transferred. It's been sluggish. So it's good celebrating some, but I think when you look at the scorecard, you can see that there are alarm signals for anyone paying attention to some areas.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Because of time, this is where we would end this segment. You're tuned to Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV television and radio. We've been assessing President Bio's 8 years in office. We've heard from the ruling SLPP government, the main opposition, APC, and IGR. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
More and more people are using Wakeup SIM Copper Plus in their everyday lives. Did you hear that? She just transferred money for her daughter's school fees. And this man just paid for some products. Ah, Mr. Abu, are you sending money to your wife again?
Yes, like Wakeup SIM Copper.
Ah.
Yes, like having money in my pocket.
Ah, excellent.
Thank you.
He just bought some eggs. The world is digital, so keep up with the times. Have you got a payment to make? If so, just download Wakeup SIM Copper Plus now. You can download the Wakeup SIM Copper Plus app from Apple iStore and iPad or Google Play Store for Android users. You see, it's fast, safe, and reliable.
Go see some business partners.
You didn't give me memory, Michael. Can if I guess I give me this people and not to in that day.
Michael, today you pay me money. I don't send it for let you help me send money in Ghana. 2 weeks now you not send me money and 10 you not give me back me money. Today, give me money.
You know ever sabi goodness na life. I send back your money, but trust me, today na the very last day I ever send money for now.
I don't need your help because I don't know so with Afri money. I dey able send money. Now Baku Africa countries them.
With Afri money, we'll be able to send money to over 10 African countries, whether it's Ghana, Gambia, Liberia, or Kenya. If me party be know this, we not for the party grammar right now.
Okay, una go regret. I mean now, una go regret.
The best part right now, Michael, with Afri money, you dey able send money even if you not use app, even if you not the online directly. All you need for do, you just a dial *161#. Pam, your money don't go. So I don't need the help again. Thief man.
Thank you.
Send money to over 10 African countries instantly with Afri Money. No stress, no excuses. Just dial *161*1*6# now. Afri Money. Quick and easy.
All right, welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone here on AYV television and radio. Don't forget you can be a part of the conversation. All you have to do is join the comment section of our Facebook page, AYV News, and drop your questions and comments. Now to the next issue. In politics, Honorable Usman Timbo has officially requested the Political Parties Regulation Commission, PPRC, to intervene in the All People's Congress, APC, internal low-level constituency elections regarding uncontested positions.
Timbo originally contacted the APC's Internal Elections Management Committee on June 10th, seeking clarification on how to handle election positions where candidates have no opponents. Honorable Timbo said the party postponed the elections without providing him with an official response, while maintaining that his request is purely legal and not politically motivated.
He argues that according to the 1991 Constitution of Sierra Leone and the Public Elections Act of 2022, if a candidate is unopposed at the close of nominations, they should be declared duly elected rather than undergoing a formal vote.
He argued that the APC published its final list of candidates well ahead of the elections day, saying this measure would prevent confusion and stop potential voting manipulation during the low-level polling.
Joining us this morning in the studio is Honorable Usman Timbo. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Thank you and good morning to you.
Has anything during this election gone out of the ordinary in a sense? Was there anything implemented that has not been done before? Basically, why do you have a concern?
Okay, so firstly, let me say this is not a complaint. It is not a grievance. It's just a matter of something where the law does not specifically address. You're asking for a practice direction. Excuse my voice, I have a cold. We've done the first level of election, which is the ward. And during the ward elections, we saw where elections were conducted for positions that went unopposed. What happened then was there's only one person contesting. The IMC takes ballot boxes there. People have to converge in a particular place and just cast ballots for the same people who have gone unopposed. So I feel that's a waste of time. That's a waste of resources. You know, so as a principal draftsman of the APC Constitution, I know that it's not in the Constitution that you have all these rules and regulations when it comes to elections. So opportunity was given in the Constitution for rules and regulations and an election manual to be developed. But even in the rules and regulations for the elections and the manual, nothing was mentioned with regards to this. So I wrote to them, to the IEMC, and say, since we are faced with this, the party is faced with limited resources. We're struggling with resources. And to stretch even the IEMC, they're a very small unit. And to stretch them to do all these elections, it costs a lot. So the best thing to do, which is as of practice, and also as of law, it's best practice across, and now it is enshrined in our constitution when it comes to the presidency as well as parliament and local council, that unopposed positions are declared, unopposed people are declared duly elected without the need for elections to be conducted. So I wrote to them and said, just clarify this. Just write back and tell people that this is what we're going to do. One way or another is fine. If you say we're going to put ballot boxes and people just vote, just do it so people are clear. If you're not going to conduct elections, which is my stance, which I feel is also what the law provides, also say that. So almost a month, nothing came out of it. But again, I'm not one person who wants to derail the party, so I did nothing about it. So when the PPRC advised that the election be postponed, I used this as an opportunity to write to the PPRC and ask them to intervene, to ask the IEMC to give a directive on this particular issue. So that is it. It is not a complaint, it is not a fight, it's not a dispute. It is just for them to actually clarify what should happen in such instances.
Have you gotten any response from the PPRC?
I sent my letter on Friday, and I'm expecting them to respond maybe today or tomorrow.
What do you need from them particularly?
Clarification. Their intervention, maybe talk to IEMC that maybe you should give a practice direction, or maybe the PPRC itself as the regulator gives a practice direction on that.
Is the APC democratic?
Yes, it is, constitutionally, and by practice too.
Because if things like this are happening, perhaps you question that very theory. Do you think so?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's not like, in fact, they're trying to be more democratic by just saying, will they put box? If you say nobody know the contest, will they go still put box? So that's been over democratic, if I might say that.
What would settlement mean in this instance for you?
Settlement? What do you mean by settlement?
No. For example, you've raised a concern.
Yeah.
You want it to be addressed.
Yeah.
In what way?
Address it. Just address it. Just whatever you say it.
Will this affect your timeline?
No, it will not. So there are petitions at the PPRC which have nothing to do with this. This shouldn't take more than a day. There are actually more serious petitions there which they have to deal with. People are there who have challenged the delegates list. People are there who are challenging the final candidate list. These are bigger issues than what I'm asking for. In fact, what I'm asking for will actually help in the conduct of the elections. It will reduce, maybe they're contesting for 1,980 positions. If these unopposed positions are not contested for, maybe we'll have like about 1,100 positions that will be contested for. So we'll save money, we'll save time, and a plethora of issues.
The race to 2028 is still on.
Right.
Are you still motivated?
For me?
Yeah.
Personally? I'm not just motivated. I don't want to talk about it now because that's not why I'm here. But I'm in this to win it. And I'm very confident of my chances. I know what I'm doing. I'm not a social media person. I've won elections and I know how to win elections.
Let's get back to your request to the PPRC for intervention. It seems, though, you're the only one that is perhaps bothered about this. The party itself, even though you've said it's just perhaps waste of resources to conduct an elections for unopposed candidates, the party itself doesn't seem to have an issue with it. Why be bothered about it?
So it's not like the party is not bothered. It's about who decides to take action. This is something I've discussed with the leadership of the party. It's something I've discussed with the IEMC, the legal advisor, colleague flag bearer aspirants, members, aspirants for different positions. And everyone is bothered. But Not everyone can do what I'm doing, or not everyone is willing to do it. I've done a lot of things that you haven't seen. I've raised a lot of issues, other people have raised a lot of issues that they don't come to the fore. For instance, this letter that I wrote on the 10th of June, it was only when I referred it to the PPRC that it came to the public attention. But there are things that we deal with internally, and these same concerns other people have raised it quietly. But once it gets to the PPRC level, that's a different level. But internally, many issues have been raised and they've been dealt with.
Does the IEMC have the power on its own to resolve this without necessarily even going to the PPRC for intervention?
It can. It's just, it's like a manual. How are we going to conduct this election? You can say, okay, we're going to conduct elections everywhere. We're going to put ballot boxes everywhere. It's for them to just say, okay, they say it's practice direction. Practice, as in, how do you practice? How do you conduct the election? Direct us how you're going to conduct this election. So that's definitely squarely in the purview.
So again, for clarity, they can still come up with a manual to say we can do this or not do this.
Absolutely.
And that's the point I'm driving at. So if the IEMC itself sees it necessary, as you've said, you've had conversations with others who are also concerned, but they're just not interested in perhaps pushing this to the level you're pushing it. If the IEMC body itself, they are concerned about it, they have the power to direct on best practice going forward with it, but they have not done so.
So that is why I'm telling them to do it.
So this brings me back to, it seems you're the only one bothered about it.
No, it's not. I am not. I am not. Many people have said the same thing. Many people, including ordinary aspirants for constituency positions. You know how much it's cost these people to actually converge for these elections when there are no elections? The purpose of an election is to give the voters the choice between competing people, to make a choice between competing people. There's no competition. It's an exercise in futility. So other people are bothered, including the contestants themselves.
And if the PPRC does not respond to your request,
it will.
How would you proceed with this?
It will. It will respond.
But it's also time bound. If they look at it and perhaps be bothered about other things on their table and not give this the attention required within the time frame,
they will. They
what
will.
then?
They will. I know they will.
What's the source of that assurance? Have you had an official, unofficial conversation with them?
Yes.
And what are they promising to do?
They'll deal with it. They'll get back to me very soon.
And if they tell the IEMC that they can go ahead with whatever they decide,
that is fine. That is fine.
But would that still give you the satisfaction and just let it slide?
Like I said, I'm not holding to a position. I have said this is the law. It is not my opinion. It is the provision of the law. It is not a matter of political convenience. If they decide not to follow that, it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying give a directive on what should happen. Nothing more. It's not, like I said, it's not a dispute. We're not fighting. We don't have any grievance. Nobody is dissatisfied with anything. We're just saying give a directive for people to understand what should happen in the situation. That's all. We're not fighting. No one's fighting. Even them, they're taking this in good faith. The IEMC told me, oh, we're going to respond, we're going to respond, we're going to respond. They did not. That's it. So I'm just saying now that PPRC has advised that, okay, the elections be postponed. Because of that, PPRC asked them to, during this period of postponement, also just give a directive on what is. And let me tell you what this will help. Election on the 4th of July. As of this day, there's not a final list of candidates. Every day the candidate list adds, there's subtractions to them. And so we don't really know. Even when you go to the website the election website, you will see it being described as pre-final candidate list. We're to go to election on Saturday. So what this will do is, it will give certainty and clarity on who the candidates are, how to prepare for those elections, where they're on opposed positions and where there are contested positions, how many candidates are contesting and how many are not contested. There will be a clarity, there will be a list. Beyond that, there will be a cutoff date for receipt of applications from interested applicants for positions within the constituency. Up till now, people are still applying for positions. So there's no certainty in what's happening.
Are all those positions going unopposed, or do you have some of those positions contested for?
Many. I said 1,980 positions have been contested for, are there.
So either way, there would still have to be an elections for other categories.
Plenty.
So whether or not there's even a guideline on what to do with unopposed positions, there would still have to be an elections.
For what?
For other positions that are contested.
Correct.
So either way, there's going to be an election.
I hope we are understanding ourselves. Okay. In my constituency 130, Moritown, Wilkinson Road, because in our constitution we still have the constituency system. There are 15 positions. And there's only one position, that's the position of the PRO, that is being contested. So 14 are going unopposed. In a normal situation, what will happen is the IEMC takes 15 ballot boxes, do ballot papers for all these elections, and then go and put those ballot boxes and then conduct elections. What I'm saying here is, instead of taking these 14 or 15 ballot boxes, take the 14 that are unopposed, take them to another location where there's an election, and you only put one ballot box for the PRO position that is being contested for, and declare the others unopposed and duly elected. I hope I'm making sense with that.
Okay, as we round off, we need to close. What would be your message to members of your party, particularly those who would just look at you and say, you probably are just trying to be perhaps a headache?
I don't think many people will see it that way, and I am not. And like I said earlier, I am not the reason for the postponement of the election. This issue has nothing to do with the problems within the party. In fact, this is only helping. It will reduce the burden, it will create clarity and transparency. That is all I'm saying.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for your time with us this morning.
Thank you.
This is what would end today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. Thank you very much for your time tuning into the program and your participation in the conversation. Thanks to our sponsor, Wakeup Commercial Bank, and all the advertisers supporting Wakeup and AYV Media Empire generally. We've been your presenters. I am Fabian Swale.
And I am Victor Jones. Keep watching the AYV. Stay tuned to us throughout the day for more programs coming up. And of course, we shall meet again tomorrow. And do not ever forget to show kindness always to anyone you wish to. Have a pleasant day. Goodbye.